Hey friends, welcome to Above the Fold podcast. I'm your host, Jess. We're going to be talking about everything in your customer's journey. You're going to learn things about customer experience, brand experience, and marketing secrets that help you drive your brand success. So stay tuned, buckle up, and let's get into the episode.
Welcome back to another episode. I am in New York City this week, and I am chatting with Melissa, the COO of Thingtesting, and previous past also at BarkBox. We're going to get into that. Melissa, tell the audience who you are. What's Thingtesting about?
Thank you so much for having me. So excited to be here. Thingtesting is a product review platform for discovery and consumers really just trying to find the next new thing. We launched about 4 years ago, and it's just a beautiful intersection, I think, of like where brands and consumers come together and can like find each other and discover.
Yeah.
Thingtesting has really previously been like rooted in that review platform.
Yeah.
And allowing like Yelp, that people can come and just like write reviews and things they've experienced themselves. About a year ago, we opened it up so brands could really interact with consumers on the platform. And then this year we just launched a new omni-channel marketing tool for brands that is really allowing them to like get offers in front of consumers, help them drive foot traffic into stores, and understand like why they're the new best product in whatever their category is.
Cool. I love that. When Thingtesting was coming into the market and like developing it and like product innovation, what were you trying to solve?
Yeah. So Jenny, our founder, actually started it as an Instagram account, and she was writing reviews from her personal experience and then from like her VC lens.
Mm-hmm.
And she started getting DMs from people being like, hey, I posted this review on X website and they deleted it. They like took only a sentence out of it. And she just felt like really, I think, broken in for the consumer behavior. And so she started just writing more reviews. Then she changed it to close friends and was charging people $100 basically to access her reviews, and made about $30,000 really quickly and was like, aha, there's a business idea.
Crazy.
Rolled into 2020 pandemic, started Thingtesting, got pre-seed funding, and basically has built the business from there. I've been with the company about a year and a half now.
Yeah.
I joined October 22, and it's been like just such an incredible journey. We're fully remote, and it's just like a very passionate, like great hybrid of people who are just like trying to solve problems for people through consumer perspective and insights.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the insights piece, so, you know, in just the D2C world, or like not even just D2C world, like I have a product, I'm doing the things, like that Yelp perspective, when Yelp came out, had really changed the world in the sense of like, okay, you go and like review the store or a restaurant and all these things. And then like people really started depending on all of these reviews, and then like Google reviews and all these like different platforms have come out, right? And then like, okay, now flip it into like D2C products, like new product comes on the market, but how do you genuinely get like a good review, right? Like, you see the reviews on somebody's like website, but those are heavily moderated. I know this. I've moderated them. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
We're going to paint the view that you want to see, right? And I just think it's like a really interesting aspect of like being like authenticity. Authenticity sells, you know, and I think that's the beauty about Thingtesting, though. It's because it offers that authenticity to both brand and the buyer.
Yeah. I think that's really, I've been like so surprised by, honestly, our user behavior, in that people just really come to share their perspective because they're really passionate in it. And it's not always a negative, bad experience or an even like incredibly super positive experience. Like often it's like, hey, I liked this. This part was like a little bit quirky for me. But I think the ability for brands to actually come in there, claim their brand page, and then interact with the audience, like replying to the reviews, like being like, thank you so much for like bringing to our attention that the packaging fell apart or it shipped oddly, or when you found it at Whole Foods or Walmart that it was like buried in the back of the shelf or not on the shelf at all. And so I think there's been like this really beautiful connection between the brand trying to like hear their consumer perspective, but also consumers from consumers' perspective. Like we have, I think, like 1 million visitors a month at this point, and it's people who are literally just Googling brand name plus reviews, landing on Thingtesting, digesting the content, and then it's like midway through this discovery and purchasing journey, and they're like, oh great, I'm gonna go buy this. And which is really fun actually with like the new product that we've launched for brands. in that moment, you're having an offer in front of a consumer who's then like going to the retailer and being like, oh, I'm going to get it.
Yeah.
And so I think it de-risks shopping for consumers, and it also helps brands find real loyalists and like really passionate, vocal people.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. And like we say, like an omni-channel too, like you lose the customer, right? You lose the customer once they go to like retail.
Yeah.
There's no way to like really get that kind of like data from that customer. I mean, there is like, obviously, like we're hacking our way through it, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's really hard to like bring in that omni-channel experience, especially if you're a brand that maybe like goes into retail, or maybe you're a brand that just starts in retail even, you know? And I think this solves for that.
I think that's exactly right, Jess, and I appreciate it so much, because I think we have these conversations with brands. And last summer we did like 100 due diligence calls, basically being like, what are your challenges? What's going on? And everyone was saying we're redirecting resources from marketing into distribution because that's where the consumer is. And then everyone like unanimously was like, but now we don't know who our customer is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so with Thingtesting for business, like what we've really built in such an incredible way, I think, is that real-time analytics on like who's shopping. You also get all of the basket data. And so when the customer gets reimbursed, you get a picture of the receipt, and Thingtesting will help you mine that. If there's like a collaboration opportunity, if you're in the wrong aisle, like all of this information, and you get surveys with high touch point interactions with the consumer. So like when they're like uploading the receipt for reimbursement, you can ask them like, were we easy to find? Like, what other flavor do you want? Whatever you want. And so you're actually getting that like direct feedback from the consumer, which I think was really lost when people shifted either from D2C or were born in the retail aisle.
Right. Totally. I mean, this is something I preach, because like my background is very much like customer experience, brand marketing, right? And like I care about what happens to the brand after you go into this like omni-channel piece. And like, and it's really interesting because now, coming from Feastables, right? Like we were D2C, then we were 90% retail, and like so quickly, just like lost information, right? So then we're like doing strategy and insights and all of these things, and we're paying for like data after data after data from these retailers. But then it's like really these insights that, yes, are true. They're like giving you the information, but it's not really talking to your customer.
Yeah.
And the only way we hacked our way through that is because we had a QR code on the back of it, and I put a survey behind it, and then found out like 90% of the respondents were Walmart. But then you still don't go into like a deeper way, like in what, you know, your product offers is my point, right? And then listen, and I'm just saying this out loud, like this isn't me like, oh my God, I'm selling Thingtesting on the pod.
Selling Thingtesting.
But I'm like, but like, and this is the first time we've even met, right?
Yeah.
Like we've never deep dived into Thingtesting, and like I just think it just solves for that omni-channel problem that like and the only way you really can solve for an omni-channel problem, or like getting information about your customer, is literally like hacking your way through it.
Yeah.
You know, like you got to use bizarre voice. You got to syndicate things. Like
it's a total pain.
And
you're using like 45 tools. I think like our aspiration for this product is it becomes a key part of your marketing stack. And it's just like, we are helping you connect and kind of have full visibility into who your consumer is, what they need. And it's like a very accessible product, I think. It's really designed for both emerging brands and really strong like brands with a big retail presence. One of our partners is actually using influencer marketing behind their different campaigns, and they've created basically custom landing pages for each one of these influencers. And so then they know which influencer is actually more effective for them driving in store, which is what they would lose like without, if it was not driving to like their e-com.
Yeah, totally. Wait, this kind of switches gears, but it's actually on Thingtesting still. You guys put out like some sort of zine or zine. I'm probably butchering. I'm butchering every time I say like zine or zine. Like I never know how to say it.
I think just it's short for magazine, you know, so it's zine.
I know, but like I don't know why I butcher it every single time. But I want to say though, it's come across my desk before. It's very beautifully done.
Thank you. I think we lead with design, which is really, we have a shout out to Andrew, our head of design. He's incredible. And then Jenny also, like her ethos, I think really was just like making sure we were bringing something forward. Like the model we're following with like Yelp and Trustpilot, I think has gone very old school tech.
Yeah.
And we're trying to really lead lead with a beautiful place for curation and experience of new brands and like
Yeah.
celebrating what the brands are actually putting on the market.
Yeah.
But,
Well,
so thank you.
yeah. Well, I mean, I went to art school, so it's like I see creative and like
Yeah.
everything, right? Like I like look at design, like all the like that's what attracts me to
Yeah.
stuff. But I think that it's really beautiful that you are spending time on creative, because if you think about it, brands spend time on their packaging. They
Yeah.
spend time on their brand marketing, their brand experience, right? So it makes sense for like your product that's servicing this industry to focus on brand too.
Exactly. And I think like what's super fun too is as you like look at the Think Testing directory, every week we have a brand spotted and it's new brands that we see coming out. They might not necessarily be like brand new, but they're new to us,
Yeah.
new to the directory. And every week you can see kind of trends emerging in like different fonts and like color
Yeah.
palettes. And
Yeah.
like, I mean, we're heading back to pastels. Like,
Dude.
it's big.
But that's a very good point though. Like branding, brand experience is and like packaging, all these things. It's all like trends, just as it is with like fashion.
Yeah,
You know?
totally.
Like you ebb and flow, and like you buy a product, like maybe it's just me because I'm in this industry, I don't know, but like I go to the specialty stores and I look at the shelves and I buy a product based off the branding.
Yeah.
The same thing with books though too.
Oh, totally. And they're like, don't judge a book by its cover. And you're like, well, I am. Does this
Yeah.
look like a fun beach read? In.
Yeah, right. Brands that like keep popping into my head is so Goodles is a
Yep.
good example of like really
Which
dope.
also, by the way, great product.
Yeah,
I buy it
really
for
great.
my kid. He's not an eater. And I'm like, I don't know what's wrong with him. But anyway, high protein, delicious. Very
Yeah,
good.
and the
Yeah.
branding's beautiful.
Beautiful.
Great product, branding's beautiful. I went to like their party at Expo West.
Fun.
Very well done. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah, you're like, everything about this feels right.
it's like I want to buy it because the brand experience is so sick. You know,
It's like the aspiration for your pantry to just look chic. Like
yeah.
that.
I think all of us are kind of like this though, like in CPG.
Yeah.
You know, another brand that I'm thinking of too is like Maddie Matheson's new brand.
Which
Oh
one's that?
man, it's like Maddie Foods, I think.
I don't know if I've seen that yet.
Oh man, hold on. We're gonna bring
So
this
excited.
up. Maddie Matheson. So Maddie Matheson, have you ever watched The Bear?
Mhm.
Okay, so he's Falk in The Bear.
Yeah.
And but he also, before he was like any of that, he also had like a YouTube.
Yeah.
And he's like a chef in Canada.
Okay.
And he also has his new brand, which is here it is, Matheson Food Company.
Okay.
And so he just recently came out with like a new
I really like it.
mac and
It feels
cheese.
really vintage.
Vintage, exactly. For anybody who's listening, we will put this up in one of the shorts and also link it in the show notes. But everybody should check out Matheson Food Company because they're putting out so they just recently released mac and cheese. And everybody's been raving about it on like the internet because of the branding of it.
Yeah.
And it's just like vintage, it's fun. Like it's like
It feels like a 1980s, like
yeah,
it's-
like a TV dinner.
yeah, TV dinner. Exactly.
That's the vibe I'm getting from
Yeah.
it. But again, we are sitting here talking about it.
right. And he took like I like that he took a stand. Like I do think that like Goodles and like some of these brands, like you line them all up in the same kind of era of birth, if you will,
Yeah.
and they all kind of have the same vibe. And this feels like a real different position.
Yeah, totally. He's also got sauces.
Yeah. Oof.
YouTube, you should check out his YouTube channel because it's like really fun.
Yeah.
And if you ever find yourself in Toronto, Prime Seafood Palace is his restaurant.
Okay. Cool. In.
Yeah, done.
Thank you.
For the recommendation.
Booking a trip.
Yelp checked.
But this also, by the way, is the ethos of thing testing, right? It's like this referral from like a friend or not like we just
Yeah.
met today and I'm like, great, I'm gonna go there.
Mhm.
I'm on my way to Toronto this afternoon.
I mean, listen, I've literally booked a flight to Toronto just to eat at Prime.
Okay.
And it was delicious.
Great.
Okay, wait. This is literally like a Yelp review. Let me just describe the scene. Anybody listening, we're gonna link out all these things. Check out, like, we'll make some reels about it. We talk about branding and like putting that brand forward. So this is like, even for this restaurant, right? Like you walk into the space and it's very like luxe dinner, okay? But you walk into the space and it's beautiful. Like it's absolutely beautiful. Like the high vault ceilings with these crazy like architectural skylights, right? Even the bathroom was like this big concrete, like high
Cool.
ceiling. It's an experience. So it's not only a food experience, but it's also a restaurant architectural
Right.
experience, right?
You're like all of the senses.
Yeah. But think about branding, right? Like think about brand marketing, brand experience. And like any of these things that we're talking about and leading with like design, it's like you're speaking to all of these senses of the person that's going to consume your product.
Which is right. I think if like you think about some of those like blind dining experiences, right?
Mhm.
It's like masking it and letting the food like really stand alone. But like the reason they do that is because you're trying to deliver this like in totality. Like you want everything to kind of be at the height of like flavor matching like visualness.
Visuality. Wait.
I don't think visuality is a word.
But can we make that a word?
Yeah, visuality.
Visuality.
Anyway,
We're smart.
Yeah. What'd you do last night?
Yeah.
So I think it really is nice to have those really just like kind of 360 experiences.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, listen, we can nerd out about this all day long because this is like literally who I am as a person, you know? Like I think that it's like so important. And it's interesting because I actually own 3 different LLCs for like
whatever you're feeling.
purposes. Yeah, like there's like I have like a media company, right? And I also had like a motion design company, and I also like own a marketing agency. But the point of bringing this up is because all 3 of them, before I even launched a website for it, started with branding.
Well, I think that's so incredible because it's almost like the inception for the idea of the product. It's like that design piece is like, there's something there that's like super passionate. I come from a different background. I love design. I really appreciate it. But I come up with ideas and then I'm like, how should this actually live in the world?
Yeah. Trust me, I cannot design them.
Yeah.
Just because I went to art school does not mean I'm like, no, girl.
But you know what you want.
I
Like,
know
you
what
can
I
see
want.
it.
I know what I want.
I think that's really important.
I love a palette.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But I love paying an artist to do the things.
Right. Good.
I will give you the direction.
Yeah.
I will tell you about
I'm
the
going to create the
experience.
mood.
Yeah. I will give you a mood board, but there's no me doing Adobe.
Yeah.
Okay? Like, we're good. Okay, completely switching gears. I would love to talk a little bit about your position at Thingtesting, though. So as COO, tell me what your day-to-day looks like.
So we're a really lean team. We're 10 people. So my day-to-day is kind of everything, right? I joined the team to help with the monetization and kind of help like set strategy. I think in the time since I've been there, we've actually had some like pretty meaningful pivots. And so that has like really meant like changing gears and shifting and like doing everything from like investor relations to like helping try and figure out like what are the tactical things we need to do today, this week, et cetera. What are long-term, like what's the ambition?
Yeah.
But like day to day so we're fully remote. Half of our team is in Europe.
Okay.
And so we have like morning overlap hours, which is nice. I actually personally do better with focus time in the morning and afternoon meetings. And so like this time zone difference has been kind of like a funny thing.
Yeah.
But it's nice because you wake up to like a lot of content coming from the European like side of our business being like, I saw this thing, this is happening, whatever. But so anyway, right now we're like a little bit of a SWAT team trying to bring Thingtesting for Business really to life. And so it's really like strong feedback loops from the customer, the paying customers, which are the brands. It's making sure the users are continuing to discover and be introduced to new products. We have AI doing like our receipt validation for the offers that are coming through, but we also have a human on the team always looking at them. So honestly, each of us takes like a little bit of that. And then I'm actually doing some of our sales too, which has been like such a
welcome to startups.
Yeah, exactly. I was like,
what hat is today?
Yeah, and it's also like the brim just like rotates around to what I'm wearing.
Yeah.
The sales piece is interesting because I think I'm an introverted extrovert. So like I really cherish my quiet time, but like I like to talk to people. I'm curious about like what motivates them, what excites them, their business challenges. And so the sales piece, when I like schedule it appropriately, is very fun because I learn about just like what problems people have and how I actually think we can help them genuinely.
Yeah.
But if I do too many sales calls, I'm like a zombie of a person at the end of the day.
Dude. But I think just like conversations, like,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, also Zoom is like a depleting
Ugh.
drain, like life suck that I don't think in person is as much.
Yeah. I feel like I agree with you. I feel like in person, I feel like alive.
Yeah.
Like I love a good whiteboarding session.
Yeah.
Like, ugh. And I'm very tired after it, but it's like, I think it's like being in front of the computer constantly. And then you also never get anything done because like you're on Zoom, but then sometimes you got to multitask and
Yeah.
then Slack's going off.
Slack's going off.
So annoying. The most annoying sound on this planet. Like I hate being on meetings and then like Slack's going off and I'm just like,
wait, you have your sound on your Slack?
I don't know why I do that to myself. Like I think I forget, you know?
Yeah. No, yeah. I haven't had sound on in Slack in I think since 2017.
Damn. Okay, I need to take a note from your book on that one.
I'll share some pro tips. Actually, we have like a fika, which is like a little coffee meeting every week. Again, because Jenny's Finnish and our team is Scandi. But when I first started, we kind of had one session where everyone gave like little like tech hacks for like things that they do to like make their days a little bit easier. And it was one of those sessions where I was like, that's how you can do that like that? Like,
yeah.
So eye-opening. So I'll dig those up and share this with you.
Okay, please do.
But things like turning off the sound.
This is the episode about branding, creative, also learning to turn off sound on your Slack.
It's hacks for sanity when using a computer.
I know. So, you know, we're talking a lot about like startups and like Thingtesting being a startup, being a remote environment. I'd love to like hear from you of like, how do you overcome like any sort of like operational challenges in the startup world?
Yeah, I think it's really challenging. So when I was at Bark, I was employee 20.
Yeah.
And our office was like a block from where we're recording right now, which is like, I got off the train and I was like, hello world, I'm back.
Yeah.
And then we grew, we went public in 2021.
Yeah.
But I like had the opportunity there to like kind of squirrel around to different businesses and like really help build businesses within the business. And so when I was looking for my next role, Thingtesting was really appealing to me. One, because it was really like connected to the physical product world, DTC, but it wasn't actually managing any logistics or like dealing with product development and like getting it in the hands of our customers and everything. So that was like a real selling point.
Yeah.
I thought I wanted to stay in physical product, and I feel like some future version of me will go back to physical product. But for now, it is so nice to just be supporting those who are doing it.
Yeah.
But the other really nice part about it is at Thingtesting, we are a startup. We have those operational challenges. Like for me, I hadn't really worked in a fully remote company before. And so this was like a change and a learning for me. And I think that's the same for some of our newer members of the team. Like they have gone from like true office life in New York to learning how to communicate, not at the water cooler, but like via Slack and being like, oh, FYI, like we had this conversation, and also learning to like not be in a silo because you're not having that like overheard at the desk next to you conversation and getting ideas. Like you really do have to use Slack for that.
Not on mute.
Not on mute. Though you should mute some channels. But like little things like that, like best practices with Slack, I think our team has like done a really exceptional job of sharing those. Like using Notion, I think that's like a really great tool for us. We use Figma, which is fun for like jamming out actually. A lot of the templates in there are really great.
Yeah.
And then I think it is also having like our fika, like really it's a meeting to like talk about what's going on the operations and like business side and like the product side and everything, but it's also a time to just like catch up and like everyone can get a coffee or a cake or whatever they want and like
make it casual.
So casual.
Yeah. Do you invite everybody to this?
Yeah.
Right. I think that's really smart. So again, we literally have not met each other outside of this, but Feastables was actually my 5th startup, but my first D2C company, right? And then my first like literally 0 to 4 moment, like I was employee 4 of that company, right? But I've like been in different variations, like Series A, B, C, like whatever, and then seed. And what I've learned from startups is that the ones that do it really well have open communication. And I don't mean just like, oh, you can go and like talk to the CEO and like about this problem you have. No, literally open cross-functional communication, right? And like making it casual, making it like more easy and relatable. And I'm sure like Thingtesting will like grow at some point and like you might not be able to do those things, but like you're creating an environment where it is casual and it's open. And that creates the culture in the beginning of it. You know?
I think so too. I really, at Bark, we hired cultural ads was like the language that our hiring team used.
Yeah.
And I think that was like a really important distinction from like a cultural fit.
Yeah.
It meant that people were bringing their own unique perspective, their personality, but it allowed that continued openness.
Yeah.
And people always ask, like, I was there for 9 years, like really through the whole, like all of the waves, and people were always like, why are you still here? And it was the people, obviously the dogs.
Yeah.
But I think that the team at Thingtesting, the founding team, has really done that as well. They've really created a place where like you want to be a part of it. The people are fun, they're interesting, they all have different backgrounds. And we do actually an airport test, which I think is super funny. Like if you got stranded in the airport with just one person, like would you actually want to hang out with them?
Yeah.
And right now we're hiring, and so I'm excited to like have people run through that airport test as to like whether or not like, yeah, if we got stuck in the terminal together, no one else was around, like we would have a great time, or like we would know exactly what we both need to do.
Yeah, how to get out of this situation.
Exactly.
Or
also, like, do you solve the problem
leave
the same way?
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, that's a vibe check.
Yeah.
Like, how do we problem solve together? Because there's people out there that have been like, yeah, I would not do that.
Yeah. I have a friend who, she's the chief revenue officer at Bark. She's incredible. Suzanne, shout out to you. She's just like the fiercest, best woman. But she told me that she can only travel with people that she solves problems the same way with. Like if their flight is canceled, are they the person who wants to sleep on the floor? Or are they booking the Ritz? And like, she's like,
yeah,
I just want to make sure we're on the same path.
Yeah. Okay, wait, this is a really funny dynamic that we're like talking about because so my previous background, like before all the startups and stuff, actually was in the travel industry. And so I like essentially was like an account manager, like CSM for accounts like Pinterest, Medallia, like so like thousands, millions dollars to spend on travel, right? So like I would like get these execs sometimes that would call and be like, I'm stranded. And I'm like, and yeah, you're calling your travel agent, whatever, you're doing the things. But sometimes you would talk to these people and you'd be like, dang, dog, like,
have you never problem solved for yourself?
I know. I'm like, I'm literally miles away from you. Go talk to the desk agent. Like, she's not going to bite. Yeah.
She will be more helpful than me.
Yeah, because it's like all I can really do is like check like loads on flights and like I can switch things for sure, right? I can do what I need to do, but sometimes like they would like lose their shit on me because like I couldn't like okay, this is what happens. Like let me have a travel industry moment, right? So if your flight is canceled, right? Nine times out of 10, the 30 other people are in the same boat as you, okay? They're going to go to the desk. And you know what's going to happen? They're going to go to that desk and they're going to take that space that you called your travel agent to go rebook, okay? So it's like there's nothing I can do.
Call your travel agent while waiting in line at the desk.
Right. Okay. Efficiency is my point, right? But okay, I kind of like got off track because the reason I actually brought this up is like that working in the travel industry is really shaped me for problem solving was my point, right? Because now like, my fiance would be like, if he like dealt with a canceled, I remember this actually, we were in flight in Europe because like Europe always has like strikes during the summertime. We're in flight in Europe and I was like, dang, our flight just got canceled. And he's like, oh my God, what are we going to do? And I'm like, we're going to get on Wi-Fi and we're going to rebook ourselves. Like, it's okay, my friend. Like, right. And I like solved it before we like even landed. Like it was like done. Right. But that's the difference, right? Like, people problem solving versus like not problem solving.
Just standing there being like, I mean, honestly, it's like dealing with my 5.5-year-old.
Yeah.
He's like, what are we going to do?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, you're going to climb off of the chair and you're going to pick up the toy that you just dropped. Like, the game will continue. You just need to pick up the chess piece or the Ninja Turtle, whatever you're doing.
Do you think it's because like we come from like an operational background that we think about like problem solving in a different way? Because like I come from like a biz ops background.
Yeah. I think so. I think that like you're also probably went into biz ops because you have a problem solving disposition.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to say the same thing for you, my friend.
Yeah. I think like my tendency is to action, which like sometimes like I should take a beat and like actually survey the land before.
I mean, same.
Yeah.
Like, or do you find yourself like surveying the land as your problem solving?
Yeah. I'm like trying to look at the forest. I'm like literally my head in a tree.
Yeah, you're like, I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm going to get this done. Don't worry. But like, I'm surveying as we're going.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a drone up there to see what's happening.
Yeah. Where are we?
Yeah. It's tricky. And I think like that's one of the challenges like with our current like where we are today with Thingtesting is like we really are in like so much hand-to-hand combat, for lack of a better word, of like actually feeling like we have PMF solving problems for brands, but at the same time trying to like lay the bricks to like build the road in front of us, lay the pavement.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that's beautiful though.
It's really fun. I mean, it's really fun. I think it's stressful, but it's also like we're doing it.
Yeah. I don't think startups for everybody, you know?
Definitely.
Like, but I love it. I'm like so addicted.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah.
You're
5?
really in it.
Wait, not even just like 5. Okay. Plus my agency was like ground zero too. But I am a psychopath.
You're
like,
in it.
Like even when I say psychopath, I'm like, I'm excited. Let's go. You know, what do you need me to solve? Which hat do you need me to wear today? You know?
It's crazy.
I know. Psychopath.
Yeah.
Wait, okay. Before we run out of time though, I want to go to BarkBox.
Yes.
Because
please.
huge fan of BarkBox. Off camera, I was saying to Melissa that I had my sweet pup who passed away in October. I had him for 11 years, and his entire life he had a BarkBox.
Thank you. I will say, so I worked at Bark. I started there in 2014, and I didn't have Gus, my firstborn love of my life, until October of 2014. But it was a place that like I fostered a lot of dogs when I was there. I think I almost got fired in my first like 3 months being there because I fostered this dog, Willie Nelson, and he was a coonhound and he howled nonstop. And Matt, our CEO, was like,
"Ma'am, we love dogs.
Get that dog out of here." And Matt is like, you know, founded Bark with Carly and Henrik because Hugo, his dog, was like his child, love of his life, etc.
Yeah.
So it was a moment where he was like, "If you don't get that dog out of here," and I was like, "Okay, got it, noted."
Yeah.
I will say Willie Nelson, shout out, got adopted by a family named the Nelsons in New Jersey.
Okay, stop.
And so now he's Willie Nelson.
Okay, stop. Yeah. I love that.
I followed his journey. He became a huge dog that definitely was not a New York City dog. So like he expressed his true feelings in that office.
Get me out of here.
Yeah, he was like, not cool. But I think that Bark was such a special place because it was a mission-based organization. Like people loved dogs so much. And I think that really came from the top, and it really embodied everybody who joined the company. And I think it's an incredible place. I'm actually quite excited about like the journey that they're on now. And it's nice to I was literally texting with my Bark friends this morning.
Yeah.
So it's just it really brought the most incredible people together. And I was talking to someone recently who I feel like we all kind of were generalist and problem solvers in the early days. And I think like that's a quality that you need when you go into a startup, because you're just like, you really are doing everything. And if you can't shift lanes, or if you're like, hey, that person's in my lane, like you're going to just like hit roadblocks. And that's kind of towards the end of my time at Bark was like, I had my hacks for getting stuff done. And ultimately I was like, they were like, no, you got to go to so-and-so. And I was like, I'm struggling so much to do what I know how to do here.
Yeah.
Because there's so much process. And we were a public company. Yeah. Process is necessary.
Yeah. At some point.
Yeah. At some
can't
point.
Can't be a startup. Yeah.
But I think that it was just such a special place. And I think our customer service really, everyone thinks of their dog as their children. Like to this day, people ask me how many kids I have. I have 3.
Yeah.
Gus, my love of my life, my firstborn, number 1.
Yeah.
And then my 2 human children. And
oh man, Remington was my same.
like just perfect. And like my most proudest moments as a human mother are watching I guess I'm just supposed to say mom, not human, but are watching like my son and daughter like love Gus so much. And like this morning, like as I mentioned with Goodles, like mealtime is really challenging with our 5-year-old.
Yeah.
And he was like sitting on the floor petting the dog, and I was like, that's okay. Like, that's an okay thing to be doing and not eating.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're taking care of your brother. I get it. And he like talks about it too. He's like, gosh, I wish I had an older sister, and Gus is my older brother. And I'm like, I really am a little worried that you do think he's like
like a
blood.
human.
Like,
yeah.
oh, like the other day, he was asking me about like going to the hospital for some reason, and I was like, yeah, I've been. And he was like when? And I was like, well, I had Hazel at the hospital, your sister, and I had you at the hospital. He's like, and Gus. And I was like,
Doesn't work
I was
that
like,
way,
we adopted
but-
Gus, so somebody had him in the hospital.
It wasn't me.
Yeah. I was like, we should
different type of
yeah.
hospital.
I was like, we should figure this out because I'm not sure you know that he's not actually your brother.
Oh
But
man,
he's really sweet.
I think
Yeah.
having animals is like a really beautiful thing, and you're either an animal person or you're not, right?
Yeah.
And like you get it or you don't.
Yeah.
Those who know, right?
Yeah.
But
It
I
teaches you the most unconditional love, though.
dude, it's
Yeah.
so crazy. I remember getting Remington. And literally, and I got Remington when he was 8 weeks old. He was a French bulldog. So like, and I always wanted a Frenchie
Yeah.
before Frenchies were overbred. I'm
Cool
just
thing.
putting that one
Yeah.
out there, okay? And I got him, and I just remember being like, what the fuck did I do? Like, and I'm looking at my hand because I'm like, he literally was this size, right? And I'd be like,
yeah, I'm
oh
gonna squish
God.
this. Like,
And I just remember being like, okay, well, now I have to keep you alive. like,
Yeah.
and like be responsible for you, right? But I used to like go to the pet store and like get them all this stuff, right? And that's actually how I got turned on to BarkBox, because I was like, oh, well, this is like a monthly subscription. Like I can like get him like good treats, right?
yeah.
He started developing an allergy to chicken. I could like
Tailor your box.
tailored my box. He destroyed all of those toys.
Yeah.
Like I will tell you that every time we moved, we would have like bags of toys that were just torn apart that I like for some reason never got rid of.
You're like, this one's missing a limb. It's cool. Let's keep it.
Yeah, right? And then but like so many toys, but okay, the best thing I loved about BarkBox though is whenever we would have a neighbor that had a dog, cuz he would get so many treats and like listen, I don't want to spoil the dog too much. Like he would get like 2 bags of treats, his little like bone thing in it, right? So what I would do is I would always share with the neighbor. Like
Win
every
people
month.
over. Yeah.
You know, word of mouth, baby.
Yeah, that's what we need.
Yeah.
Referrals.
That was a good one.
No, I think Bark has done like, so when I started, we were curating third-party products and putting them in the box.
Yeah.
And then my like first big like mission was like going to China, meeting factories, and like starting our own brand. And that team is like fully scaled and is incredible. But like that's really was like what I was doing.
Yeah.
And it was so fun to like end up getting to like really think about the theme holistically and being like, we're controlling
The
this
themes.
experience in its entirety. And then towards, I don't know what year we launched the food brand, but the food isn't, I don't subscribe to the toys anymore because Gus, he just
Destroys
plays,
them.
well, he just plays less now.
Yeah.
He really likes like the small tennis balls that we make,
Yeah.
or Bark makes. But I still subscribe to the dog food. It's incredible.
Mm.
And it's like, again, like great for allergy dogs, non-allergy dogs, whatever. But I've been really pleasantly surprised because it was something that was like coming into development like towards the end of my time there, and I wasn't involved. And I feel like, you know, so much process happened that I was like,
yeah.
And then I
Oh,
got the food,
girl.
and I was like, the food is great. So.
I understand that process piece.
Yeah.
We'll talk about branding again. Like honestly, like talking about this again. The one beautiful thing about BarkBox is anybody listening out there and like has a dog, like the reason I loved it and I like got the subscription, but then I like fell in love with it because of the themes, the monthly themes, right?
It's so fun.
The dim sum one was my favorite. It's like my favorite one.
The dumplings were like a part of my like origin. Like there was like a couple of us on our merch team, and like just creating those together was like I think the highlight of my life. And Gus loves them.
Wait, didn't you say BarkBox was in this area?
Yeah, we were I can't believe I'm blanking the address, but Canal and Center, so like 1 block over.
Okay, so like
And now we're downtown.
where is it inspired?
Yeah.
Because okay, so anybody listening,
We had a Lunar New Year box too, because like Canal Street is in Chinatown in New York, and it is like explosive and wonderful during CNY.
Oh my God, how fun. I love that we just like
We had like our first, I think, collection that went into Target, because now you can buy all the stuff at like Target, Petco, and all the places. But it was like a New York City box. And we made like a cute little taxi toy and a pretzel.
I had that
like,
one. I mean, I had
Lady Liberty ball, which was so fun. It was like a spiky ball wrapped in.
Yeah. Who came up with the weed theme?
Actually, you know what? I'm going to shout out Stacey Grissom, who did the content. I don't know if she was involved with the toys or if she just did the social pushes.
Yeah.
But she's a good friend of mine and just incredible. But the like, what did they call it? Like spinach tortillas or something like that. Like everything was like a euphemism.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just like taken off. Like people just really want their dogs to be a part of 420.
Yeah.
And the team has continued to do an incredible job. Like the design team is so exceptional and just like continues to.
But again, so creative, not even just like in the like items, right? Like we just said the dim sum one, the Lunar New Year one, this like 420 one is like so fun and interesting. But creativity in the names, the box itself, it's like
we have a whole copy
experience.
team that are hysterical and like just like so smart.
Yeah.
Like it's just I think like that was the great thing too. As being a mission-based organization, like everyone was obsessed with their dog, but like had a real talent.
Yeah.
Versus like I think in other like mission-based organizations, they're there because they're like very focused on whatever their expertise is. Whereas this was like, you love dogs, but you're also very funny. You love dogs, but you're a really talented designer. Like all these different things. And so it like, we like to call it like he's doing it too. And it was like allowing the dog to like participate in life.
Yeah. Dude. Okay, I know we're like spending this whole like second half talking about BarkBox, but like I mean I cannot express it enough. Like it's just so thoughtful of a brand, right? And like just thoughtful and like the creativity piece of it. But also what brought me the greatest joy is that whenever I would get them, like as an owner, right, I would get so excited about my subscription box for my dog, and Remington would know it was his. Like people
would ask us if we like wiped bacon on the box, and we're like, no. Your dog, first of all, is just pumped because you're pumped. But two, I think they could smell the treats.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He loved the little like apple like stick ones or whatever. He would like lose his mind. And it would be really funny because you would open it. So I talk about an unboxing experience, okay? So we would like open it and we'd see the theme of the month. And I would never like look ahead of time because I would like to be surprised.
So you were one of those customers?
Yeah. I like love doing surprise. But like, okay, so you open it up and there's like inserts to tell you about the theme, right? All the things and like in the toys that you get and then the treats that you get. And like Remington, we would open it in front of Remington or whatever, and like he would have this ritual. He would take the toys and he would like sniff it and be like super excited about it. And so we take it off and like take off the tags, throw it up. He would go like run and go get it, and we would do that with both the toys, right? And then he would come back because he knew he was getting his treats. You know what I mean? Like it was like this ritual. He was like,
"This is step one, step two." Like, it's so funny. I think that was such an interesting part of Bark too, is that we had two customers, right?
Yeah,
we had the human and the dog, and so you had to deliver kind of like a major experience.
Yeah. I mean, but I think it was like really awesome, and like what a treat. Not, like no pun intended, but like literally what a treat for like the owner and the pet to have that unboxing experience. And like I talk about that a lot. Like again, like brand experience, brand marketing, all these things, and like just the well thought outness of the entirety of that experience was just so fun.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was such a joy, and I feel like I was really there. That was like my people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I met like my like first layer of core people in New York work. Like, and I'd been in the city for years before that, but like that was like really that like Hollywood startup life.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
we were like, we have kegs.
Yeah. I was saying this on another episode of like why I wanted to go into startups, because like when I started in startups, I was in San Francisco, so it's like the mecca of like, tech startups. Like Google and Facebook are like, we have all these things and these amenities, but really those amenities are just to keep you
in the office. Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I spent 20 hours a day at that office.
Yeah,
like,
but you made it fun.
Yeah, we had a great time.
Yeah.
That's an interesting like world difference between like remote work versus like luring people back into the office.
I know. Do you miss like that old startup
life,
I
do. I miss the in-person. I think like being remote though is really wonderful for our team and getting to work like across time zones.
Yeah.
And it's also like quite, I mean, we like joke that like we'll get a problem from a customer and we'll like share it with the product team end of day. And then the next morning when we're going to like respond to the customer, the product team has already solved it.
Yeah.
And so I'm always like, the time zones.
Oh, that's amazing. All right. Well, we're actually at time. I told you this goes really quick.
It does.
You
I had
know?
a great time.
Tell the peeps where they can find you. And we're going to put all these things in the show notes, but, you know, plug yourself.
Yeah, thanks. My name is Melissa Seligmann. I'm COO at Thingtesting, and we are a place for discovery and product reviews. And we're really a new opportunity for businesses to find their customers with our growth marketing tools.
Great. And we will, again, put links to Thingtesting in the show notes and Melissa's LinkedIn. And I appreciate you all for tuning in for another episode. Doodles.
Dang, we've made it to the end of the podcast and you're still here. So thank you so much for listening to Above the Fold podcast. For the best of this episode and every episode, be sure to follow us on Instagram and my YouTube channel. And for deeper dives on the secrets to brand success, don't forget to subscribe to my weekly newsletter, Sunday Postcards. All right, my dudes and gals, see you next week.